Let's stand for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody. We'll take a look at the agenda. Any corrections there, Steve, or additions or anything, or?
Mr. Chair, the only add-on I have is item number 2 on the consent agenda, Commissioners' warrants. We have an add-on packet dated 6/8/20, and that is in the amount of $21,353.93 from county revenue. That's the only add-on I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Those corrections, I'll move for approval.
okay. Chris made the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Les seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good morning, Dan. I forgot to acknowledge you there. Thanks for getting online.
That's good.
Dan, can you hear okay?
I can sometimes, I can hear Steve real well. Sometimes some other guys are a little bit light, so if you could maybe speak a little closer to the mic would be appreciated. Thanks.
Okay, we'll do our best. Let us know if you can't hear, so we make sure you can.
You bet.
Okay.
Okay, then we'll take a look at the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval.
Okay, Luke made a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Les seconded it. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Then we'll go down to Nick.
Good morning.
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 Morning, Nick.
A little bit kind of light for me today, but get started here. First item I have is project updates. The first update is on the second page. It's for the Indian Lakes Trail project. They started grading yesterday. Started stripping topsoil out there, so we're making progress. Next update is the next project listed there. That is the gravel screening. Work has been completed. And the last update I have would be the last project on the last page. It'd be our third box culvert contract. And that has a bid opening scheduled for July 14th. So that's it for, excuse me, project updates.
Okay.
Next item I have is a request to approve a right-of-way payment. There's just one this month. It's for Leon and Harriet Hannenberg for $970. That is a Osborne Township project that we're doing for them.
Okay. I'd make a motion to approve that payment.
Second.
Chris seconded it. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Motion passes.
All right, the next item I have is kind of a follow-up to that lowboy trailer we purchased last month. So we apparently had some confusion when we sent out requests for bids. We asked them to give us the total price of the trailer and then let us know how much these fenders were. We wanted to then subtract that fender price off their total price and see if it was cheaper to buy their fenders or have them built locally. But the low bid actually ended up subtracting that number and giving us the total without the fender cost. And then they told us how much the fenders were. They expected us to add it back on, but that's not how we were asking for it. So after that mistake got realized and corrected, they were no longer the low bid. So we did not order that trailer because, well, they're the high bid now. So I guess this request for board action I have here is to cancel the purchase of that Nair trailer from last week and go with the RDO Towmaster lowboy trailer. That'd be the low bid.
Okay.
Chair, I'd make that motion.
Okay, Luke made a motion.
I'll second.
Les seconded. Any other discussion? There's nothing lost here because you didn't order the other one at this point anyway, so.
Correct, we did not order that one, yep.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes.
All right, next up, last month I handed out our annual report. I said I'd be back again this month to see if anybody had any questions. Does anybody have any questions on that, or? No?
Everything look good?
Okay.
You need a motion to accept the
Oh, boy.
report. Probably be a
Um,
bad idea.
I'll make the motion to accept it.
Okay, Les made a motion to accept
I'll
the annual
second.
report.
Les.
Okay,
Dan seconded it. Any other discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Yeah, it's been a year, I can't remember if we did that last time or not, so.
good action on it.
Next up, I have some, just our regular maintenance updates. Kind of the highlights of this last month, we've been doing some culvert work. We've had some soft spots to repair in roads. We started our spraying, had a little tree cleanup from the wind a couple nights ago. And then just our typical graveling and blading, so that's what we've been up to the last month there. And then last item I have, if you remember, the county has a policy where we pay for half of these speed radar signs with cities. And about a year ago, we updated that policy to include crosswalk signs in towns. It's a 50-50 cost share. And Edgerton has requested 3 of these signs by the school, so. Total there is just under $6,300 for the county share, but that's 50%, so. I don't know if we need action, I guess there's a policy on it, I just wanted to let you
You
know.
already set a policy, I guess it's okay.
Yeah,
But we're only doing that on county, state aid highways and roads, not on just local in-town streets or anything like
correct,
that. so-
yep, on our roads,
Okay,
like, and we share that 50-50 with,
the city or whoever.
yeah, I'm not even sure if it's the city or the.
May be involved there too, I don't know.
Yep,
so.
they can do whatever they want there, but our share is 50%.
Talked about some changes there for a long time, maybe this is just the first.
Yep.
We're actually gonna do something now, so that's good, I guess.
Yep, so, I think they meet tomorrow, I think, if I remember right, so, right after that, we can get them ordered, and hopefully they're up by the next meeting.
And then you guys have to put them up?
Yes, we install them.
Okay.
We install them, if I remember right, we pay for half the sign, we install them, we take them down at the end of life, but they're responsible for the maintenance in the meantime.
Entries and so forth.
Yep, so that's the share on that too, I guess, so.
I think there's more issues over there that are more of a local issue because there's so many walkers and kids now, and the streets are just full of kids and bicycles and people walking, and that's nothing to do with the county, but
Sure.
they're gonna put up some more signs or speed limit signs or something because there's
Okay.
a lot of people out walking around all the time.
All right, so you'll, hopefully by next month, when everything's in, we can have that taken care of, so.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
Yeah, I think you mentioned 3, is it 2 or is it 3 signs?
It was 3, wasn't it?
What I sent out said 2, and then yesterday, they emailed me and said, actually, we'd like to switch that to 3. So
Okay.
I think what I sent you said 2, but that got updated yesterday.
$2,100 apiece.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Great, thanks.
Okay,
All right.
anything else, Nick, or
yeah, that's all I had for today. unless
questions for Nick or
anybody-
comments, or the gravel's crushing, you got the additional gravel already too crushed?
Yeah, we're working on that. We gotta iron out some details, but, they're packed up and moved out, so. We've never done a screening project, so we need some clarification on a few things there, but. All right, sounds good. Well, that's all I had for today, so.
Nick,
Yep.
we have a few moments until Kyle's gonna show up here. You wanna have a COVID-19 update, Steve?
Sure. Grab my other one, I think we'll be able to get that one done too. COVID-19 update, not a whole lot going on at this point. We advertised a week ago in the newspapers that we're going to be open for appointments, and that has started the 8th. We're going to be putting barricades out in front of the doors. Right now, we're still using the east doors, but court service is going to open up on Monday, the 15th. So then we'll put the barricades in front of the east door, and then everyone will be funneled into the east annex doors here. And then they'll be escorted to their offices they want to go to, and then escorted back out when they're done.
They're gonna do that for court too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Court will all still be video, so it'll just be those coming to in person, pay fines, file papers, that type of thing. They'll still be encouraged to use the drop box if at all possible, so you don't have to have personal contact. We're strongly recommending that masks be worn by anyone that comes in. We'll have some spares available to wear one. We're not, mandating it. So some places are, others aren't, but said we'll do this way, see what people are doing on that. But other than that, like I said, it's going to be a brief update, not a whole lot else going on. World on that this time anyway. If there's any questions or comments from the board.
Steve, you picked up a temperature scanner too, didn't you?
Yes, we have several of them. Actually, we got a few more, so we've got a couple of scanners here. Highway Shop's got one. Where else we got them, Kathy? Soil and Water. Sheriff's Office. So we've got them in all offices. They're the 4-head temp scanners we got through the
Yeah,
Minnesota
so
Safety
you're going to do
Council.
that as people came in the door. You're going to greet them at the door and check the temp. You said, if I remember right.
No, we are not going to be checking temperatures when they come in.
Okay.
We don't have staff to maintain the door and have people be checked as they come in. We just have to, we'll ask them how they're feeling. The best thing we can do, how they're feeling, encourage them to wear a mask, and they're going to wash their hands. We're still limiting the amount of people into the building at 10, so we're not going to let any more than that in. So it'll work out. Most people are doing very well. Talked to Tyler that the No Wait Inside app that people are using, that they're accessing from our website, is working very well, and very happy with that. Courts is going to be doing something else. They decided not to use what we're using, but Recorder's Office, Tyler's office, and a couple others are using it too. So
I was up there this morning and I see all the shields are in place.
Yep.
The new shields are up, so they're,
yep. Those went up last week on Monday. They were actually went up very quickly, had most everything done in one day. He fabricated them at his own shop, and basically all I had to do was to come here and install. So they look very nice oak woodwork around them. They are decent setup, and they look good.
they
when you
look
put them on.
permanent, like they're installed to stay there for a
Yep,
while.
they can
so.
be. They're just mounted to the countertop in most cases with several screws, and those can be removed at some point in the future, and we can save them for another time. Hopefully we don't have another pandemic, but
We don't have a time schedule frame yet when we expect to be kind of open for business as.
doors wide open?
Normally.
Not yet.
Are we waiting for the governor to tell us something, or who's the leader that we're waiting for here?
Another executive order. We'll be waiting on that and see if we can open more things up just to have the doors open. We're still limiting people to, that's the factor, the limiting factor is 10 people or maximum of 25. So we're doing it by appointment. Most counties around us are doing very similar items as well. They're doing the same thing as doing by appointments, limiting the amount of people that come in. Chances of an in-building court hearing that would be open to the public, or jury trials, that type of thing, is looking like the earliest to be August, September. For that sort of thing is going to be video at court for now too.
On the 15th, we've got this county board of review equalization meeting down here. Are we going to have someone at the door then, or just let people come in?
The door will be open
as
because
they-
it is an open meeting, so the door will be open. We will also be using Zoom. We published the call-in telephone numbers, so the people will be, that want to call in will be able to do it by voice. We don't have the ability to live stream this event we're having here, so they'll have to call in if they wish to do that. Joyce has been recommending and actually telling people that they need to make an appointment to do this, get hold of her so she can have the information ready to go. That's how it was set up to be done with. And then that was also published in all the papers as well, that ad for that. But that'll be voice, so we'll have the county conference phone set up for anyone to call in on Zoom. And we may have some, we may have none show up, we just don't know. And if we get to the point where we're getting too many people in here, we'll overflow into the community room and pipe in the video and the audio into that room until it's their turn to come in and be waited on. And meet with the board and take it out, so. We've got a plan. It'll work.
It usually isn't a big crowd or anything for that, but you never know, so.
You just don't know. It was a little bit different. It was run as open book sessions this year, so those that have a problem with theirs, instead of taking it to the cities, they'll be taking it to the county. So a lot of them, Joyce has handled those before they even got here. So, and again, this is not for discussion of taxes or budget or anything like that. It's about valuations and problems with valuations is what it's about. So if someone wants to, vent a complaint about taxes, this isn't the forum for that. So that will be on the Monday, next Monday night, 7 o'clock.
15th.
Yeah, Monday the 15th, 7 o'clock. So that'll be a full board meeting as well. And we can maintain our social distancing. And Dan, if you want to do the same thing, you can certainly do that as well.
We'll see where we're at that point, yes.
Perfect, sounds good. So, let's
Okay,
do that.
what about the food truck issue?
Okay.
Wanna go into that now?
Yeah, sure, we can do that. I wrote it up for you, I figured it'd be easier to follow than just me trying to talk it through. But I got a call last week from Skip, last Thursday as a matter of fact, and he had gotten a call from the carnival that the fair uses. He didn't tell me the name, I'm not sure if it's, I'm not even sure the name of the fair carnival that comes in. But what they've been doing in some areas and trying to drum up some business and actually sell a few things is they want to do a food truck weekend here where they bring down a couple of food trucks and all their supplies and everything, refrigerated trucks, and wanted to know if they could possibly use our fairgrounds for that. It would be only, be 2 days, either a Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. We haven't determined dates at this time. Obviously, they'll have to show us their insurance as well, just like they would have to if they're bringing the carnival into the fair. But since they aren't able to do any of the rides and things like that, they decided to run around and start selling fair food like corn dogs and funnel cakes and all the good fair food that people like to eat. And apparently it's been very successful. Skip mentioned that they'd done it up in Elk River, which is Sherburne County, and had hundreds of people standing around waiting to buy fair food. So all we would be supplying would be some electricity out there for them. They would use our facility. All of the certificates of food safety and all that are still done by the state to them, so it's not a local issue that we have. So basically, they're asking if we would allow them to be at the fairgrounds. It's takeout only, there's no tables, it's not a picnic or anything like that. Just get your goodies and go. So that's what they're planning on doing. And I just wanted to bring it to the board and see if the board would approve that. I don't have dates. When I know what they are, I'll bring that back. But right now, it's just, they're talking 2 food trucks, trailer styles, refrigerated trucks. They'll do all advertising. All we're providing in is electricity, and if they need water, we'll take care of that. And part of our fee schedule is $25 a day for water and power. Skip was in favor of doing this through the fair board since there's no fair. It might generate some business for them and also give some people some idea of if they want fair food.
Luke, do you have a comment?
I just have a question. Does that fee cover our cost?
Electricity's pretty cheap out there.
But I mean, if you have water also.
The only water they would be having would be like sinks. There's no bathrooms, nothing like that running, so water's pretty cheap. We pay a basic fee of about $65 a month just for a meter.
Right.
So it's minimal. They won't be using much water.
Steve, did Skip have an idea what dates he would be at, like fair time, August, July area, is that what they're thinking?
I'm not sure. I don't even want to say yet. I don't know. I presume it will be July and August, but I don't have a exact date on that. When I do, I'll come back to the board and let you guys know when it's going to be. So If you would tentatively approve that, that would be all right. It's up to you.
I guess my comment would be I'd kind of leave it up to the city commissioner, the Pipestone city commissioners, Chris and Dan. Has absolutely no benefit to the people in Edgerton or Woodstock or Trotsky or anything like that. I mean, it's just
Unless you
kind
want to
of,
come and get some fair food.
yeah, that's, pretty, I'm not for it or against it. I don't see any benefit to it personally. I mean, the local people sell food here too, so. But
Mr. Chair, well, I know the governor allowed certain food trucks to be at rest areas and stuff like that already, and those seem to be going over pretty well. To me, this is just, one step further than that. See why there'd be too big of an issue allowing it.
And there are other food trucks that run around Pipestone too. We've got the
Right.
taco truck, and then the seafood fish truck trailer is gonna be around again. I just saw that on Facebook this morning, so that was last year parked at the E&J Laundry quite a few times. So there are food trucks around Pipestone too.
Do they have to have a transient merchant license or whatever to do that, or?
I'm not sure. I'll refer any of that to the city. I'll make sure they know what's going on when I know what's happening, and if they need a permit for it, that's fine. During the fair, there's no city permit that I'm aware of. It's just food safety.
Right.
And they'll-
My only consideration would be that we'd have to reiterate to them that they maintain their social distancing and their lines people are waiting to go through. But that would all be part of the process.
they would have to comply with all current COVID-19 procedures and policies.
And when you mentioned the hundreds lined up in Sherburne County, you wonder how that worked out.
Hopefully well.
Well, if we want to approve this or recommend it or whatever, we need a motion to do that, I would assume.
Yeah, that would be good.
Basically,
Motion to allow the
we're
use of the fairgrounds
Doing is
for
allow them to use the fairgrounds.
food trucks for a weekend to be determined.
Okay.
Get the data.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion
To approve,
to approve.
allow it, okay. Chris made a motion to approve. Anybody care to second it?
I'll second.
Okay, Dan seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Motion approved. Anything else along that line, Steve, or shall we get Kyle to come up here?
We can,
Are you time sensitive today? Do we have to wait till 9:30 or can you come in?
I can jump around, I can do whatever you'd like.
That's good. Why don't you just come forward and we'll,
Okay. You want me up there, or do you want me to
sure,
stay here?
whatever works for
oh, no,
you.
get you on video this way.
Since it's not 9:30, I'll probably just hold off on the feedlot public meetings. I did bring Lance and Melissa Rosendahl and Lance Wheeler from the office along. Lance is doing all the feedlot stuff, so I brought him along for any questions on the annual report or the grant agreement, and I brought Melissa along since she's doing the score report for the solid waste, or the recycling summary, so. Why don't we, let's just do the feedlot grant report and agreement. The grant agreement, basically, there's a minor amendment of about $14. It's not a major amount, but it still requires, in my opinion, approval from the board to amend the grant agreement, and it's gonna require a motion for the chair to e-sign the document also. So Bruce, you should have
Is that
gotten
the one
an
I've been
email.
getting an email about?
Right,
Okay,
yep, so you'll just need to e-sign that once the board approves it.
okay.
And this is it's a biennium grant agreement with MPCA for our feedlot monies. The total grant amount is $106,370.74.
Chair, I'd move for approval.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion passes.
And then the next item is our 2019 Feedlot Officer Annual Report. And this just identifies the work activity that was completed in 2019. Lance puts the inspections and things into Tempo, which is a software with MPCA, and then they generate reports, and somewhat pre-populates this report form based on the activities completed.
You need a motion on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and then I'll need chair signature on the report also.
So moved.
Les made the motion to approve.
Second.
And Chris seconded. Any other discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Dan, did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yep, I'm an aye.
Okay, you said aye, okay, thank you.
And we could probably move on to the recycling summary. You should have all gotten the report that Melissa spent a fair amount of time pulling numbers. We had to look at multiple things because there is not one simple way of putting this together. So hopefully you've all had a chance to look at it, make some sense of it. But in summary, just wanted to touch base on, if you look at the residential recycling tonnages, you can see that the Friends of Scouting, I know that was a question that Dan had asked. You know, it looks like they lost about 100 tons. If you look at our newspaper numbers, we've increased about 230 tons. So we've picked up the 100 tons that we lost from, that the Scouts lost, but we also picked up another 100 tons basically there, 100 plus. So we've seen a significant increase in our paper accumulation, and also cardboard is probably the other most significant number that's increased, and that's primarily going to be the cardboard that we were getting from the businesses that previously were not getting collected. So by having bins at businesses, I think we're getting a lot more cardboard. You can see that the landfill tonnages fluctuate quite significantly, so I don't think there's any correlation there as far as saying that by recycling more, we reduce the landfill tonnages. It's really activity dependent. I mean, if we get a lot of water, people get flooded basements, they're gonna have a lot of trash. We've had businesses close. They can produce up to, you know, a ton a day. So, I mean, that can fluctuate numbers a lot, so. And then the score numbers, they skew things quite significantly because that's including other types of materials. So if you start hearing score and you hear like the 35% or the 50% goal that the state has, we include pallet recycling and other items such as that as part of those numbers. So that's a much broader picture, along with, you know, Colburns, Hanks, all of the business related type cardboard recycling also. So those numbers are difficult to use as a base and say this is what we're doing, and it's really based on the amount of time and effort put into gathering those numbers on how accurate they actually are. Millennium provided us a breakdown of what they're seeing for quantities based on percentages of tonnage, broken up by types of material. And talking with Millennium, they're estimating 5 to 8% residual, which would be your wasted material that they receive as garbage. We're in the low 4 percentile, so actually our material is coming in very clean, in their opinion. And then the last bottom right is our household hazardous waste numbers and participation rates. There's a couple of years that don't make a lot of sense, but we put down the numbers that we had, even though they look like they're skewed. But we're getting, in my opinion, a real good participation, you know, around that 25% of the county utilizing the hazardous waste facility annually. And the last item I have is just this week we found out from SW, who takes all of our appliances and electronics, that they are unsure or anticipating not taking our material in the future. So they're going to come one more time. So we're currently looking at possible other avenues to dispose of our appliances, electronics. So that'll be come on that, but it's going to change. Likely it'll change how we collect the material, how we package it, and where it goes. So Trevor and I got to spend more time on.
Are there many other options?
There's several other options, but most of them require us to put all the material in Gaylords. So we're going to be packing it and using the forklift to load a semi. It's not gonna be quite as handy as just leaving it on the floor, you know, like we are now. And we'll probably be getting the appliances and the appliances going one place and electronics going somewhere else. And then the fees, I don't know where we'll be at with the fees either, so that will likely change, but we'll be likely charged on a per pound rather than a per item.
And do we have a forklift there now?
We have a yep, the solid waste and highway bought a forklift together that we have at the building at all times, so it's very handy to have. So I think we're situated well to deal with it, we just need to get the details worked out. I haven't talked to SW on all, you know, what they will or won't take or why or the details, so. Any questions on all of that?
Kyle, did you have a handout on this recycling summary? I didn't get a copy of that in my packet at all.
Yep, it was a one page with 5 different boxes with the information provided, so.
You got it in the packet, didn't you?
I have it in the board packet, yeah.
Yeah, it was in the board pack that was emailed out, Dan.
It was. Oh, not the hard copy, the email copy.
That should have been in your packet as well. We're all looking at it as well. There was one in the board packet as well.
Okay.
Haven't the costs for the electronics recycling gone up quite a bit in the last year or two?
They have. TVs were about $10, or I think we're paying $25 now. So everything has kind of jumped up.
So about 150% increase.
Is that right, Melissa?
Yeah, 25. I don't know what they were before.
Yeah, they've been gradually increasing. When we started, I believe they were 10, and they went up to 15, and then they jumped a bigger jump to 25.
Approximately a couple of years, or?
Yeah, because we've been doing the building since 13, is that right? So 7 years, yeah, they've gradually increased. But there again, it's like recycling. It's due to the glass and things, you know, having processed differently, whether it's going to China or where it's ending up, so.
So the TV recycling is just a flat rate regardless of the size of the TV? Some of those old TVs weigh 100 pounds and the
Right.
new ones weigh 20 pounds.
Well, and that's where going through SW, they're charging us one fee per unit, where a lot of the other facilities are charging on a per pound basis.
So, yeah, that's something to maybe look at if you're going.
But you average it out, it probably is about the same.
That's okay, I just was curious.
Yep. Nice part with SW is that they came, their guys loaded everything up, we just collected it and they took everything else away, and it was very handy.
Okay, any other questions for Kyle on that? And we can move into the feedlot discussion.
Yep, I have
Information,
two,
I guess, more than discussion, but
3 feedlot public meetings to hold today. We'll probably start out with Veldhuizen's. They have 2 sites. I don't know if you'd like them to come up, or if you want to just sit where we're at.
Oh, just set where you're at.
Okay.
doesn't matter.
So you should have received maps in the public notice that was put in the newspapers and sent to the neighbors. Veldhuizen Farms are proposing to build a new 2,400 head swine nursery in section 20 of Burke. And you can see the map, there's already an existing 2 barns there that hold 2,400 head. Previously, this was all permitted as one site, including their barns to the south under a state permit. The new permit is going to be a county permit for the 2 nursery barns on the north, and then the home site will be a state permit, and then that new proposed finisher to the south will be also a county permitted site. So there's going to be a mixture of permits within that corridor of buildings, but so they're proposing to build the 2,400 head nursery and a 2,400 head finisher on the southern end of section 29 in the northeast quarter. I don't know if Veldhuizen's are here, if they have any comments.
Yeah, one of the biggest motivations for us wanting to do this is, the other part of this is there is currently a very old nursery barn that is on the yard, and we will be closing that down because the manure containment for that is in above ground storage, and it's getting a little long in the tooth. And given its proximity to sensitive areas, we feel like it's just in our best management practice to just phase that out. And so that is the reason, part of the motivation for the nursery. And then if we look at the actual finishing space that we're looking at doing, the oldest barns are 30 years old and are beginning to be in desperate need of repair. And so basically from now on, at any given point in our operation, there could very easily be 8 bar down. And so to ease the pig flow constraints and everything else, that is a large part of our motivation for wanting to do this.
Kyle, aren't some of these state permitted too?
Yes, yep, there's,
They all.
like I said, if you look at the map, the 3 to the northeast of section 29, and then the 3 that are at the home site are under a state permit. But that's really irrelevant. I mean, it's kind of just a numbers type thing based on who can permit what. Just to make you aware, I did also receive an email from a neighbor. I believe you all did receive that. Okay. That was the only comment that I have received.
I don't know if that individual's a neighbor or just a landowner.
Landowner.
Okay, I didn't think he lived there at this point,
He hasn't
but
lived there in
okay.
20 years,
This
20,
is
30 years.
Floyd's son or something like
correct.
that, yeah.
Yep, and the new owner of the site did also receive notice, so
The people that currently live
they
there.
currently own the acreage, yes.
And they don't have any issues with it.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And that, it still meets the setback requirements from that residence?
Correct. The nurseries are an existing site that have the expansion capability up to 1,500 animal units where they're at, and they can be up to, within 500 feet of the neighbor, basically. So it's an
well-
existing site that's been there prior to the ordinance.
It's well beyond the 500 feet limit then, apparently, so.
Right, yep. And again, this is just a public meeting. It doesn't require any board action, but it's an opportunity for the public to be involved in the process and make comments to the board if they have concerns.
Since there aren't any other public people here to express their concerns, I guess, at this point, it's okay? Right? Or, we don't have any problem with it, I don't think any of the commissioners, so.
All I gotta say is good luck.
I guess I would like to hear though, as far as Mr. Strom's concerned, is there any comment at all from Mr. Velheisen as to his request to put it on the south side instead of the north side?
So if, I don't know if your map shows it, just from our stewardship practices. If you go north of the site, the ground gets very, very light and gravelly, and so in our opinion, that makes for an ideal place to put a barn. If you go south, the ground starts to get heavier, and so just from I have no scientific data to back up what I'm about to say, but from a logistical standpoint and base and holding and where I feel an appropriate place to put a hog barn is, gravel works better than clay. And so that's just, I have nothing other to back it up, other than that is why we do it, because it's not productive for farm ground anyway. It's literally gravel. So that was why we chose to go north.
That makes sense too, as far as the.
And as per Strom's letter, there is a feedlot going in on that property right now,
Okay.
so that, one's cattle, one's swine.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Is there, just south of that existing buildings there, that looks like a little circular thing, is that a manure containment thing or
That's
something, or
correct,
what is that?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, currently the state doesn't allow open swine manure storage pits. Previously they were allowed, but right now there's a state rule that doesn't allow them. The new barn will have a pit below the barn.
So is that pit still in use, that
Yes, that's
open pit?
correct,
Okay.
From a management standpoint, I actually prefer outdoor pits because you don't kill hogs when you build an outdoor pit. But, yeah, understandable why they frown upon those.
Well, I guess having no other comments, I guess it's, go for it. But
Okay, the next one I have is for Schultz Dairy LLC. They're proposing, basically it's just a modification of their facilities. They're gonna, I'll let Rod explain this, but it's located in section 30 of Etna. And Rod, if you just want to make a few comments on what your plans are.
All right, first comment is I'm wearing this because my wife was tested yesterday. She wasn't tested positive or negative, but I thought, you know what, heaven's sakes, I'm not used to talking to one of these. But essentially, the building that they're building, they're just replacing an old one, is what they're doing.
Okay.
There's gonna be an old one that's gonna be torn down, existing one right next to it. I don't know if the picture shows that.
Yep.
But that one's gonna be replaced. It's gonna be a little larger. Not gonna really be any more animal units. We increased the dairy on another farm, is what we did. We're gonna use this more for calving.
And again, it's an existing site. I haven't received any comments from any neighbors or the township, so.
Okay, should be no problem then, unless there's any, haven't received any letters. So that's good.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
guys don't want me in here anyhow.
See you, Rod.
I just thought I better have a free coffee here. Okay, thanks, guys.
Take care.
Any other questions for me?
Have anything, Kyle? Dan, you have anything for Kyle?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kyle.
Good luck.
The next thing we have is Tyler at 10 o'clock. Do you have something for me to sign now? Oh, right up here, okay. On just one?
Yep.
Okay. Is that the one that I've been getting emails about?
This is a different
That's another one?
Yeah. So you'll need to hit sign on that electronic one also.
Okay, I'll just do that at home then.
Yep. Thanks.
Okay, here we have a few minutes. You want to take a 20-minute break until we get to Tyler?
Sure, that's it. Look, Kathy, do you have any personnel?
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Take a recess?
Yeah, that's all. We have later's committee reports, and that won't take that long either, so that's fine. We'll recess until 10 o'clock. Home tax abatement.
All right, good to go. All right, morning everybody. So just having the public hearing for Doug Gorder at parcel number 11.023.1100. Abatement total for 3 years is roughly $2,013 for an annual amount of $671. Just looking for approval of that abatement.
So move.
A motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Luke made a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. That's all I have for you. Yep.
Anything else? Report, everything's going okay?
Everything's going good. We got filing period done for elections, so that's going to be kind of kicking up into high gear here. But voting doesn't start until the 26th, so we still have a couple weeks yet. But just getting all the new equipment and everything like that up and running and tested. We're getting that. Well, that'll be doing in the next couple weeks here. So.
With the commissioner stuff, there could still be write-ins on some of this stuff too, right?
Yes, that won't be until fall.
That's
Yeah,
later,
so that's,
that's-
that's nothing, that's not the primary whatsoever. The primaries, we don't have anything on the primary locally. The only primary races are the state offices.
Okay.
So that's state and federal offices, that's all we really have. So I haven't gotten the actual candidate list yet. I know the final period's done. I'm just waiting for the certification from the state for everything. So, because they do have petition periods after the final period, so.
Okay.
So, that's all I really have.
Okay, thank you.
All right, have a good one.
Let's see, Kathy didn't have anything. All we have left is committee reports, is that?
I've got Wayne coming in. for
Oh, that's
the-
right, Wayne's coming in at 10:05. Oh, and
I'll go grab him.
He's here now.
Oh.
Hiding behind Jill. I didn't see him, he was right behind Jill.
back row. Okay, we got some bids for the courthouse roof. We got asphalt shingles from Guaranteed Roofing was $110,831. From MLC Construction it was $58,084. Steel shingles from Guaranteed Roofing was $160,631. From MLC Construction, it was $76,590. And then now we got some synthetic slate ones too, but
So
I
are
think-
these metal shingles from both those sources comparable?
yes, they're same brand.
Same thing, so there's just a difference in the labor basically and,
Yep. Yeah, they're both the same brand. I think we should put the steel shingles on and
Yeah.
be
I
done
think
with
it'd be
it.
wise to do that. It's,
Yeah.
it's more of a
Yeah.
permanent roof that way, and it's not gonna blow away in the wind like these other shingles have been fine if they hadn't blown away.
Yep, yeah, they still would have been fine. So I recommend that we go with steel shingles from MLC Construction.
And did we have enough set aside in the budget for this? So- Well, we had,
Yes,
we talked
it
about
was in the budget, yep.
Okay. And do we still, this is a different subject, do we still have enough left in the budget for the concrete work we wanna do over by the law enforcement center?
We're gonna do
The driveway.
sidewalks, driveway,
Okay.
then C. We might not do the parking lot this year.
Parking lot next year or something?
Yeah.
No, that's okay, whatever. Just to make a little
Wayne,
progress.
this is Dan. Did MLC say when they could start and how long they think the project will take?
August 3rd. They didn't give us a date, how long it would take them.
Yeah, I don't think it would take that long.
Week, 10 days, 2 weeks, somewhere in there.
And see, after they get done, then we'll work on sidewalks.
Right,
Gonna wait
right.
till after the shingle
That makes sense.
to
Doesn't
replace
make any
sidewalks.
sense to do sidewalk with heavy equipment going on.
Yep.
All this water barrier and all that stuff, you're gonna look at all that and make sure that they're giving us the right stuff? Okay,
Yep.
because this will be kind of a lifetime product when it's done. If it's put on right, it should be a long-term thing, so.
Wayne, are they aware that they'll have to get their building permit from the city for this roofing project?
Yes, they are aware of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Has anybody made a motion yet? If not, I'll
Oh, we
go ahead
need,
and
we need a motion, Dan, if you'd care to make one.
Yep, I will move that we accept MLC's bid then of the $76,590 for the roof. And then just verify that includes all inspection fees and demolition, all that kind of stuff, so, which I'm sure it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, Les second it. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. We can get them started whenever, if there's got a date set, that's great. We can, then you still have time to do something
The sidewalks and
a little
stuff.
later, so.
I'll start getting bids for sidewalks now too. so-
Tell them it's gotta be done after the 15th of August or something
Yeah.
like that, and then.
Yep.
Okay, so, Mr. Chair and board members, the next thing I'll do is get a hold of Doug at the city and fill out an application for the Historic Preservation Committee so that they can approve what we're doing. So Wayne and I will work on that. And if they need to see what the shingle
Yeah.
looks like, we'll take that for.
You've
And we
got a
gotta look
color,
at-
you've got a color picked out.
Yeah,
and
we've got
stuff
them,
that-
we've got them saved.
We've got the colors on my
Virtually the
desk.
same colors what we've got here. Have you seen it?
I think we looked at them
Yeah,
a
but there's
couple week or two ago.
it's
yeah.
Yeah. They've got different colors in there, so.
It's
Any
a charcoal gray, very similar to what we've got on there right now.
There isn't any historic money grants available for this kind of stuff, is there?
No, I checked into it, and there's a small grant, but the ones for 2020 had to be in by last October.
Well, we really have to do it because we've got some bare spots up
Right.
there that the
Yeah.
rain's coming
Yeah, we
through.
don't,
Yeah.
yeah, we can't wait
No.
on this, so. Big projects are 2-year advance, and those are up to $100,000 project. A small project that this is under would be nice, but it just, time didn't work out to do it.
That's
so.
okay, whatever. Okay,
As long as we got Wayne here, let's talk about one more item.
yeah.
Light on the flagpole.
They're gonna do that when we tear the sidewalks out.
Well, we'd like to put one
Oh.
on top of the
Okay.
flagpole. Here's a picture of it. I can pass this around.
I've seen it.
Okay, you wanna put the light on top of the flagpole. I can see that one parking lot light, they're gonna put new on when they
Oh, cool.
They got to run new wiring in,
Yeah.
so I can see it.
We got one of
I can
those
see
on
it from
the
there. Yeah.
flagpole,
Yeah.
and it's a smaller one, but this is a bigger one for a bigger flagpole. But they're LED, and it's about like a Frisbee.
Yeah,
They go on top, and then they're solar.
right.
And
Okay.
they shine
Yep.
LEDs straight down on the flag all night. We don't have a light on there now.
No, there isn't. And then the one in the
I came and
parking
called
lot's
the
not
other day, and he
working.
said, you
I'll
guys
show you
gotta do
another
something
picture
about that.
of it. Show you.
So I said, well, it's pretty easy, because I put these on myself, and they really work slick.
Can you get Wayne the site where they came from?
Yeah, I did, that's the site.
Okay.
Or you can get them from Walmart or anywhere. They've got them. We just got a little one like that at home.
Nice.
Okay.
But you can get them bigger for
Yeah.
the height of the pole.
wow.
you know.
Right, big pole.
Pretty reasonable.
Mr.
They really shine straight down, kind of out like that over the flag.
Mr. Chair, well, we got everyone here too. On the Towards Zero Deaths Committee I sit on, they have these, not sure what's going on there, but these templates to put, to paint, like a buckle up reminders. They've been doing that on schools and whatnot, and I mentioned potential county parking lots. But Lauren interpreted it as we're going to do that here on this parking lot. And I told her, well, we'll put the brakes on that. We'd have to run that by the Building Grounds Committee and stuff like that. So I wanted to bring that up. They want to do that at schools and other places like that, just to,
Put them on the aprons, isn't that what they do? Is-
Yeah,
does
they-
it drive in?
yep, they paint it down, and it's just buckle up reminders.
Stencil, right?
Yeah. And they have one already. They'll do it. They just want the okay to do it,
Yeah.
so. And I don't know if there's any other,
Motion to approve it, or just
or
go ahead and
just
do it?
by the grace of the Building Grounds Committee or whatever.
I don't think there's any problem with it.
Okay.
Yeah, just go ahead.
They're gonna do it up at the school when the school's finished with all the concrete up there. They're gonna do it up there and
Okay.
whatnot, so they're just looking for places to put them down, so. I mentioned that it could be a potential place, but she took it off and went run with it like we're gonna do it, so I thought I should bring that up.
Discs like we're talking about here.
Send it to me the
they-
site otherwise.
They have to go up on top, and Mike thought that he had a source for a lift or something to get up there, a bucket truck or something, maybe you know.
Yeah.
Just have to get up there and fasten it on the top. And
When Palmas have theirs in, I can just have them.
Yeah.
There's no wiring to it or anything, it's all self-contained in this little disc, so.
Okay. Okay.
You guys with the city, they might help us out with their basket truck as well, possibly.
Well, city's basket truck.
Oh, city, yeah, the city would do it too, yes. Yeah. Yep.
Anything else, fairgrounds or anything going on there, or mowers working okay?
Mowers are working good. Mainly just running the old one. He likes that one because he don't get dirty.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I've been getting calls about people still interested in doing cattle shows out there now that things are starting to open up. I'm not sure if any of you guys have or not.
Yeah, people are disappointed because they're going out of state and.
Yeah.
Going to South Dakota, but what can you do with our
And
governor
they're
here?
getting canceled out there too, so.
Are they?
Yeah, Flander one got canceled.
Okay.
That was this past weekend.
Yep. The commissioners had a meeting Thursday and canceled it, and they were scheduled to be there this weekend, that last weekend.
Okay.
So they are canceling some out there too.
Yeah. I can bring you up to speed on that. I had a conversation with Angie Rates yesterday. They did get canceled at South Dakota. The county board stated basically that because 4-H events were canceled in the state, that they would cancel the events too, because there were 4-H kids involved in it apparently. So I'm working with, trying to decipher actually the executive order that came out. Not sure if we can yet. I contacted Southwest Health and Human Services, Jason Kloss, who's the expert in these areas, not by choice, but he's become that. So I'm working with him to see if this will work, because right now we're hanging it on the fact of the social gathering is now up to 25 people instead of 10. That's where we're at. There's other clauses in there about worship services, that type of thing, but this show is not a worship service, anything like that. We did get a request from Murray County. They want to do a horse show at the fairgrounds too, so Murray County asked him the same thing, and if what he finds out for them, I'm sure would affect us. So Angie is looking at, again, the weekend of the 21st of this month, so as soon as I get some information, I'll let her know. If we can do it, we will. If we can't, we won't, so. I'll just, since we still have the executive order at 25 people, it says that's what it is, we'll just say it can't be done, so. I don't have to have a special meeting to do that again, to do that, so. But trying to work with them, but it's really hard. There's a lot of interpretation going on, people trying to interpret the rules to make it work for them, for their organizations, that type of thing. Or I got a text from somebody that said, here, look at this, and it shows about outdoor activities, but they're picking and choosing out of that what they want. They're not looking at the whole thing of what the orders are. The one I got actually is the one that pertains to worship services, and that type of thing, what you can do, and we don't fall, the show does not fall under restaurants, it doesn't fall under that accommodation, so it's kind of strict on that yet. Haven't turned the dial, as he says, all the way up yet. We're close. But they opened it up for fairs and festivals and that type of thing. That's where then we'd be there. So still working on it.
Wayne, this water tower festival's been postponed. Is that gonna affect this roofing project at all, or this should be done by, isn't that late in
That's
August?
end of August, yeah.
I was thinking
Last
later.
weekend in August. It should be done by,
Should be done by then. And maybe the concrete could possibly be too, but.
Right, right. They might have to wait till
Well,
after.
whenever you can do it, you have to do it. They'll have to work around. Okay.
Chair. Just a comment on I had a couple of people call that wanted to know, well, what would happen if you were to violate the governor's order? And so I reached out to Domain, and he sent me a court case that they finalized June 2nd with a bar restaurant owner in the St. Cloud area that had 6 locations, and he was thinking of opening one of them prior to the governor's order, being lifted. And the state kind of reached out to him and said, well, we, really don't want you to do that. But at a certain point, he just was advertising on Facebook or something that he was going to do it anyway. And they were able to get a court injunction against the guy, and within hours of this opening time, so they did not open. And then when we had our rural county meeting, I was told that while this wasn't included in the court decision, they did also tell the guy that if you were to open in violation of this temporary injunction or whatever, that they would fine him $25,000 a day. So at that point, I think they decided it wasn't worth the.
The issue for us will be insurance, because everybody that uses it has to provide us with liability insurance. And if they were to have an event at our facility and we're not able to do it, obviously there would be no insurance there, and we would have a liability as well, and we don't want that.
Right.
So we can't afford that either. So.
No.
And they would have trouble getting the insurance for the event if it was not allowed to happen. So.
Let's also point out that Jason Kloss, again, had sent out an email to all of the restaurants and bars that have got liquor and food licenses, and explained to them that they would be jeopardizing the status of their licenses if they were to violate the governor's order as well.
That's correct.
True. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's kind of concludes our business, I think, for the day. We have committee reports yet? Anything else before that? Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
Is Wayne still there?
Yeah,
Just
Wayne's
leave
here.
Received your email about that quote for the ceiling in the courthouse. That certainly was a little bit of a shocker, so I assume that we're still looking.
Yeah, it's hard getting bids. I've got another company that come and looked at it, but I still don't have a bid from them yet.
Yep. Especially in comparison to what we're going to pay now to replace the entire roof on the building, compared to that paint and that ceiling in the courthouse. That was kind of a wake-up call there.
This same company bid the Quonset out the fairgrounds too. If you remember that, and it was like $34,000.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And then another company come in and bid it for under $5,000.
Yes, exactly.
That's why it's nice to get some bids. You never know.
Right, we're not getting bids.
Mr. Chair, well,
And again, I acknowledge and appreciate the fact that it's been like pulling teeth trying to get anybody to even give you a bid on that ceiling. So
Yes.
that's not fun, but
Okay, Luke has a comment too.
I was just wondering, while we're able to get some bids on this ceiling project, is there any thought to just getting a bid to remove the paint and leave the tin showing?
What's underneath looks nice.
It does.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well,
I mean, to me, and plus it'd be cheaper because you're only having to remove it, not replace it once it's removed.
And it's a
Be a lot
perfect time
cheaper.
when the court's closed.
Right. Just throwing it out.
Depends how hard that's gonna come off.
I mean, they're gonna have to take it off to
There's some places that
repaint it, aren't they?
The company that come and looked at it said the paint ain't gonna come off.
Yeah. If it's difficult to come off, that's gonna be a lot more
Yeah.
work than painting over it.
Yep, that's what he said too, some of it's not gonna come off.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
I thought they were gonna have to take it off to redo it, but.
They aren't doing it all, they're only doing the parts they're peeling. They're not doing the angled parts on the sides, because that's fine.
Wayne, there is a possibility, and I know it'd be very messy to get that removed. They use a dry ice sandblasting. That might be a possibility, or sometimes they use instead of sand for a blasting agent, they use walnut shells too, I believe. But I just don't know how messy that would be. But there are other possibilities.
It might be okay if it was an empty room or it was an old rusty car sitting out behind the garage, but it
Yeah.
ain't gonna work in there.
I
Yeah.
don't, inside. Yep.
But with the dry ice sandblasting, though, that other than the paint flip chips coming off of there, that doesn't leave any residue.
That might be something to think about.
Yep,
Okay,
okay.
thanks, Wayne. Okay, we have committee reports. Chris, you wanna start out with yours, or?
Sure. Monday the 4th, I had a Nurse Family Partnership Zoom meeting. That went over well. Sibley County has joined the Joint Powers, so see an amendment there to their Joint Powers Agreement. Doing good on money. Things were down a little bit because at the time they weren't able to bill for telehealth. I'm not sure if things on that changed yet, so. But they had to move away from the in-home visits and had to move to Zoom meetings to continue to visit. On the 5th, I had a PCMC special board meeting on Zoom. As also PCMC related, we do our conference calls on Fridays, the 1st, 15th, 22nd, 29th. On Monday, May 18th, had our county's providing technology meeting. This was the first actual Zoom meeting scheduled, and it went off without a hitch. They have an intern going full-time on June 1st, or had an intern go full-time June 1st, and that's so far the third intern that they've recruited out of the local U of M that's gone full-time since CPT was formed. Before CPT was formed, under the previous name and owner, they hadn't been able to recruit anybody for over a decade. So, which is kind of encouraging right now. So the energy of the staff's been up, even though they're staying at home. They're they're still remaining highly productive. Because the entire staff is working from home. Let's see, Douglas County is now being hosted, as well as Meeker and Cottonwood. They're just doing them in order. Once Douglas was done, they'll move on to Meeker, then Cottonwood. So that's 5 new contracts with counties this year in Minnesota. They recently upgraded their servers, cost around $14,000, but that's going towards being able to host those other counties that are coming on. They did a demo for Pro West and, or is it Pictometry? And both companies were impressed with what CPT has and might contract with them as well. Chippewa County was inquiring about the payroll, HR, and employee portal programs. And again, Sibley's on and off with a commitment there with them at the time. Wednesday, May 20th, had Friends of the Casey Jones Trail Zoom meeting. Announced that Amy Rucker from Murray County resigned, so she's no longer helping out with the Friends. When the Murray County Commissioner said she resigned from all county-related duties, there was no reason given. They have the Lake Wilson signs ready up in the cities. Dan had mentioned that, I think, last month, and they just need to go get it when we can. The rest of the trail going to Woodstock, there was just small cosmetic punch lists that they need to get done. Chris from the DNR mentioned that all those asphalt patches that were put over the gravel, pretty much every one of them's beat up. He thinks that happened during road restrictions, and then encouraged anybody seeing this happening to inform DNR so people can get punished for doing so. DNR paid to clean up the portion of the trail that's coming west out of Slayton. The Friends were trying to get a group of volunteers to do that, but since that's impossible, DNR stepped up since they have a lot of people looking for work right now, and they did that instead, so that was encouraging. Then we're working on doing a new logo for the Friends group, trying to rebrand it with Facebook pages and whatnot. So we looked between about 50 to 60 images and ended up forming a committee to settle on one. So, and Tuesday, May 26th at the PCMC board meeting.
Okay. Luke, you got some stuff?
On the 12th, I attended the Holland City Council on some local concerns. On the 14th, the Soil and Water District met. They approved a well sealing project that was a little more costly, but they want to get them sealed, so they approved that. They increased the low-income contribution amounts for septics due to the increased cost of putting them in, and had a number of groundwater quality nitrate reduction contracts approved. They seem to be accepted pretty well by the producers. On the 15th, the AMC board met. It was mostly routine business since we haven't met since February, but they did mention something about in, I think it was Dakota County, some company had come in and had asked for a well permit and wanted to pump water out and truck it out of state. And I'm thinking I would sure hope that Minnesota wouldn't allow the exportation of our water. Doesn't seem like a good idea, but. On the 19th, AMC legislative recap, of course, no tax bill, no bonding. They haven't done that CARES Act funding distribution yet. Hopefully they'll get to that in the special session, because there's hundreds of millions of dollars that should be going to counties, and only Hennepin and Ramsey have gotten theirs because they got a direct appropriation since they're bigger. The rest of us are waiting for the legislature to do their job, and apparently that hasn't gotten done yet. They questioned, or they said their county program aid is okay for right now, but they questioned even the December payment, whether there would be potentially some adjustment. That would be bad news if they went that route. And of course, next year, moving forward, who knows? They talked about cuts of 15 to 25% likely in a lot of programs. There again, that some of them aren't being adequately funded anyway, and at that time, there were 650,000 applicants in Minnesota for unemployment. The county-based purchasing procurement committee was supposed to begin on May 20th, and I believe they have been working some since, but no firm conclusions yet, I guess. On the 20th, I had an MHA training on issues related to COVID. On the 21st, Prime Health had a special meeting because of Renville County Hospital withdrawing from the pool. And we decided we are going to go after them for the penalty dollars for the early withdrawal, because, you basically set it up for the 5-year period, and they kind of were given some special treatment in the first place to get them in, and then to have them bail on you.
Don't you think that's related to COVID and revenues?
Well, they sold their facility, of course.
Yeah.
And, yeah, whoever took it over, I think, has their own insurance company. And of course, on the 26th, we had the hospital board. On the 27th, the Minnesota Rural Counties met. They had a speaker from, it was a senior economist from U of M Extension, which by that time, it was up to 700,000 unemployed in Minnesota, and they were gaining about 50,000 a week at that time. Hopefully, it's turned around a little since people have been able to go back to work. They did show that on a statewide map, Pipestone County was actually better off unemployment-wise than most of the state. We were kind of like almost on an island. There was a few border counties that were in better shape, and then some counties had as high as 35% unemployment. And they mentioned that for a lot of rural counties, the issue is going to be, say, if you lose your unemployed better positions like engineers, doctors, dentists. Of course, we know how hard they are to get in the first place. The chances of getting them back if they ever leave are slim. So, you just hope they get, be able to go back to work soon so you don't lose out on them. And then they had the commissioner from the Minnesota Department of Health speak on health-related issues. And of course, there was a lot of talk about this CARES Act money. You know, not only do they need to distribute it, but then different entities are worried about non-compliance or if you'd have to pay it back because they keep changing the stipulations or the strings attached to how you can spend it. And on the first, we had a regional solid waste meeting. They've got a hog composting site by Round Lake. I think they've had about 17,000 hogs composted there thus far. They mentioned in Granite Falls, they are gonna have to move their recycling site. Apparently it's on private property. And, because of, you know, people leaving other things they shouldn't, the owner finally got tired of it and said, no, you're gonna have to move it to county property and whatnot. So they're looking at that. And then apparently there's some recycling grants available now. The deadline's July 7th and kind of similar to the one that we got for when we started our single stream recycling. And then June 3rd, Area 2 and RCRCA met. We did go, we're going to advertise for bids for that Lake Redwood confined disposal facility for the dredging material. They're going to have a bid opening on the 25th and hope to award at the July 2nd meeting. Apparently, when they were doing dam inspections this year, they found a car in Lake John. And then they budgeted a 1% cost of living increase for 2021. On the 4th, we had our AMC District 8 meeting. From when they had the legislative recap on May 19th to this June 4th meeting, the amount of money they mentioned being available to counties outstate somehow declined by a significant amount, like nearly $500 million. So I'm not sure where all that extra is going, but yeah, whether the state's looking at keeping it or not parceling it out or what, but something to keep an eye on. And they mentioned that so far, statewide, approximately 250 to 275,000 hogs have been euthanized because of the plant closures and whatnot. And then yesterday, the ditch committee met. We did approve a bid from Johnson Ditching of Lake Wilson to clean out the ditch from 200 feet from the falls at the monument to 9th Street Bridge area. After the city of Pipestone finishes removing the trees. Did you have any luck with them on that?
John, Jeff, and I will be meeting tomorrow.
Okay, so hopefully they'll be open to finishing that job, and then we can get right on this, because it would be nice to get it done, so.
Who's the contractor again?
Johnson Ditching from Lake Wilson. They've used them for ditch work for a number of years, and they're always really good about doing it.
If that's at that point, will it be cleaned out all the way down then from Fort Pipestone all the way down?
Yes, yep. As far down as you can get without getting into the portion of the monument that,
Right.
you know, is.
Untouchable.
Right.
That's holy ground there.
Yeah. Even though the ditch was there before the monument, but. And then they're gonna spray for weeds again in the ditch like they do every year, and that's about it.
Okay. Dan, you got your report ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Spent a fair amount of time. I mentioned to you guys earlier that Julie Ring from AMC had asked me to sit on this AMC Blue Ribbon Committee looking at our responses to the COVID lessons learned, what we've done right, what we've done wrong, and what we might be able to continue to carry on. We've been actually doing this twice a week, have been the Zoom meetings on it, covering a myriad of different subjects. Started out with Health and Human Services and the various state and federal waivers that have been granted to us in regards to face-to-face meetings with clients and so forth as well too, and in some of the other waivers. So we're hoping that we've seen a lot of benefit from those waivers, both in efficiencies, not having to spend all the time on the road, driving to appointments, also the safety aspect of it, and even the availability. They said that historically in the summertime with juveniles being out of school and not having transportation, that their visits actually fell off quite substantially. historically. Whereas with the Zoom meetings or the face-to-face Skype, whatever they've been doing, that's been much better too. So they'll be able to continue with some of those. Not only did they work on health and human services, and they also touched on everything from our solid waste, our feedlot ordinances, really the whole gamut of everything that we do from county services are all being addressed. Most recently, they're working on, in fact, Steve had mentioned earlier, the courthouse thing. Obviously, we're very fortunate that we don't have a large number, hardly any jury trials. But you can imagine up in the metro areas with jury trial, and of course, depending on the type of charges, whether it's a gross misdemeanor or whether it's a felony, there has to be a 6-person jury or a 12-person jury. So the felony with a 12-person jury and then also with 12 alternates, if you try to have a courthouse large enough for all of the jurors, all the witnesses, all the attorneys, and then of course the public has a right to these as well too. They're finding out that they just don't have the physical space to do it. So that's why there currently is the moratorium on any of these. They are doing a pilot test project on just a few of them. It's very limited and still trying to figure out the logistics of how to go forward with it. One of their concerns is to make sure that it's uniform throughout the entire state. They don't want one jurisdiction having something out of step with the rest of them. So it's been quite an involved process. So that's taken up quite a bit of my time. Going on from Blue Ribbon, then we also have, of course, May 7th. Les and I had our Prime West meeting. I think we kind of reported on that somewhat before. Then we got our June one now, of course, last Thursday as well too. Probably the main takeaway, I think, the last we should mention, I think we talked about it before, is how Jim Prisbel, our director, Granny's been there for a number of years, and that's a pretty in-demand type position as far as salary. And he was very gracious about our salary offer, and he actually says that he didn't feel it was appropriate because of all the financial uncertainty right now, both with what's going on with county-based purchasing and COVID, that he just deferred his raise altogether. We had, of course, the expansion counties are getting more involved in it now. I don't know, Les, anything else that stands out for you for Prime West that I'm missing?
No, not right now.
Okay. Then on May 8th, I had my Southwest 18 Mental Health Consortium. That was Zoom as well, too. We've had those a couple times. It works quite well. They talked, of course, about the added financial and also mental stress on everybody right now. Being very aware of that and then trying to work social distancing. They also said that these waivers, both state and federal, have been very beneficial for them, too. On the 20th, then, Chris mentioned about our Casey Jones meeting that we had, covered that very well. That sign up in the cities, I told him I'd go out and pick it up, but I'm not real anxious to drive to Minneapolis right now until we get COVID straightened out. So we'll see where we're at on that. There's no big rush. We got a little bit of time. One that carried over into June, then June 1st was our Rural Minnesota Energy Board meeting. And we had an address also by the commissioner of the PUC and talking specifically about getting additional transmission line in our area where we were tapped out on the amount of renewables that we can put on the grid, as we all know. So that's something that's on the radar, but again, it's a very complex, both physically and politically, to get more transmission lines in here. A little bit of an anecdote you mentioned, some of you guys are probably aware of it, with the disposal of the swine carcasses. And down in Round Lake, they've got a process going on down there where they're actually using a wood chipper for the carcasses, and then they're also running wood through it as well too, and they're windrowing it out there and they're composting it. So after 48 hours or so, they'll take and roll it over as well too. They'll windrow it over is how they're getting the heat to build up the compost at. It sounds rather interesting. Okay, that concludes my report.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Les?
Okay, on the 4th, Dan just alluded to, we had Prime West. On the 6th, we had an executive board meeting, radio board meeting. It was kind of a special meeting, prepare the grants for the coming year that had to be done by the 2nd of June. And then later on in the month, we had our full board meeting. On the 8th, we had plant ops at the hospital. That was just a Zoom meeting. On the 12th, we had Southwest Mental Health. Took care of just the basic business, the bills and stuff. Talked a little bit about planning for the new director, interviews and stuff like that. And then on the 28th, we did do the interviews. We interviewed the top 3 candidates. They each had an hour and a half to be interviewed. At the end of the day, they brought in some of the key staff and got their comments. At the end of the day, by the time we were done, after 7.5 hours of sitting there interviewing and stuff, we put out unanimous decision to hire Luke Combu. And I believe it was, Monday he accepted?
Yep.
So, come to terms on the money and stuff, so hopefully we can get that healed and moving forward again. Okay, then on the 14th, Southwest Health and Human, Soil and Water, Luke brought the highlights for that. On the 20th, Health and Human Services, wasn't a lot there outside of the basic approving of finances, paying the bills. On 26th, we had a fair board meeting, and after lengthy discussion, it was decided to cancel the fair for 2020. And then, like I said, had the full radio board to finalize all the grants with the full board. And then on the 28th, I had the director interviews for Southwest. That's the end of my report.
Just curious, any idea when the last time we haven't had a fair?
Nobody could tell.
I think from what I've seen, it was like late 1800s during the Chicago's World Fair,
Oh, really?
like 1893, if I remember right. Don't quote me on the date, but
What was Luke's question? I didn't hear the question.
When was the last time that Pipestone hasn't had a fair since we canceled for this year?
like I was telling Luke, I think what I seen was late 1800s during the Chicago's World Expo or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Or yeah, that might have been State Fair, but I think all fairs shut down for that.
1893 and 4?
Yeah, somewhere in that range. Yep.
Well, all I had was a plan ops meeting, a special PCMC meeting, a fair board meeting with Les, which he kind of talked about. That was pretty much just all the discussion there was just about whether or not to have the fair. There was a lot of discussion about from the farmers and things like that about show cattle and things. And then I had an SRDC meeting on the 14th. That was also a Zoom meeting. That didn't wasn't very spectacular or anything, but then I had 5 Zoom meetings. I think we've all had those with the medical center on Fridays in the month, so those are just information, COVID updates, so that's all I had. Anything else for the board today?
Was everybody aware, just for informational purposes, that the Civil War Festival Committee has postponed August Civil War gathering? That's postponed as well.
Did they set a date for that then? What, next year? Or?
That's to be determined yet. They don't know if they're going to wait 1 year. Normally it's a 2-year rotation, so they don't know if they're going to postpone it for 1 year or if they're going to wait for the 2-year rotation. That's unknown at this point.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Steve, did you want to mention anything about what building committee did real briefly yesterday with Joel with that street project, or?
Oh, sure. As you know, the street's being worked on out there. Joel from the city used their camera system to take a view up our sewer lines here. And we have a odd 45-degree angle made out of clay tile out by the generator. They need to want to get that out of there. And then the other area, there's PVC coming out from there to the 45, and then PVC from the 45 to the street. So for some reason, when they built the building, I don't know why, had no idea either why it was done that way, but they'd like to get that out of there. And the other part is when they did the remodeling in 95, 96, where they ran the sewer line out of the building, if you've seen the west side, there's two little PVC 4-inch sticking out of the ground. But apparently, there's a joint, isn't there, Dan? We understand there's a joint back behind there that's offset, so it's actually blocking sewage from going down the line into that, and then we'll take that out, fix that, and then have our caps below ground level so that we can mow around them. So they would contact WD Gravel and they would do the work for us, and of course we would have to pay the bill for it. So that's.
I think he mentioned it was Schedule 40 PVC coming out, but the fitting they used wasn't Schedule 40, so it's a little lip in there that's kind of hanging things up.
Right.
Plus, it's too high, so it's not draining correctly. So simple, pretty, in the scheme of things, it's not going to be too bad. Just two spots you're going to have to dig up, and it's not going to be too bad.
Do they have a time frame that they can do it before the concrete work and all that, or isn't that make any difference?
They're working on it right now. They'll probably do it in the next few days. They're working out on the street as we speak, so
Okay,
they want
that's good.
to get that done pretty quick. So, thank you, Dan.
You bet.
Okay, anything else to come before the board today?
Move to adjourn.
Have a motion by Luke,
Second.
second by Chris. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, well, the motion meeting's adjourned.